Hi, today I'm going to talk about ambition. Once upon a time there was a pawn in a chessboard. This pawn was so eager and so young that it just hopped. After that it could only move one step forward. But by the time that it reached the end of the board, it grew up into a queen. Yes, the pawn totally grew up, and then, like the ugly duckling, just could go anywhere it wanted. But not all was good in the chess world, because the enemy king could try and capture this pawn and chased like the prosecutor that wanted to catch the criminal, but the criminal got away, and then the prosecutor tried to run away, but it was attacked. Eventually the prosecutor got tired and said, okay, you can have your chessboard. But sometimes the prosecutor could catch up. How can we tell? Right now, it's pretty clear it's going to catch up, because by the time that it queens, gotcha. But there's a pretty easy way to tell. Right now, there are 4 squares to the board, to the end of the board, and to the side there's 4 squares also. If the king can get inside this square, then it's gonna catch up to the pawn. And it's the same thing here. Even though it's his move, now it's the prosecutor's move. So if it can get inside the square at any moment, the game is over for the pawn. You're going to jail. But as we saw back here, there's no way that it could get inside this square. The king was so close, but it didn't land inside the square. So it just kept going, and now the square kept getting smaller. The king could never go in again. And just like that, we know how fast pawns move and whether it can be caught by the enemy king. But not all is hopeless, because you can always put things in the other king's way, like your own king. In fact, right now, it's pretty obvious that without the king's help, this pawn's going to get captured. But now we can put this king in the way, and it tries, but now this king can't come close, because nothing can be one square inside of this king. Obviously, because if the king goes here, then the king just checks it. You know, it's not allowed. So the king goes this way, so that it can go that way, and that way, and that way, just so it can catch that pawn, or prevent it from queening. But no, the king wants the pawn's safety, and it's going to ensure it. So the king, in one last valiant try, tries to catch up to this corner. But is it gonna make it? Nope. This king is gonna prevent this from happening. So now there's no way that this king is gonna catch that pawn. Obviously the only way to go is this way, or just directly there, but obviously you can't cross this square, so you have to go this way, and then this way, and then finally catch it right here. But that's not going to happen, because when it does that, the pawn gets away into the promised land, and so it promotes. But you cannot only just put kings in the way, you can also put pawns. If you go straight directly like this, well, that's not going to work at all, because the king just gets here and he's inside the square. So this pawn tries to get in the way, but you're just going to get captured. And now the king is definitely in the square right there. So yeah, this pawn's going to say sayonara to the board. But there's a better way. Yes, you just push the pawn right there. If the king tries to go that way, well, that's a total blunder, because then this pawn just runs off. and this pawn's gonna promote. So it has to take it. But now this pawn goes forward. So the king's like, you're not going anywhere, but it is going somewhere, because even though it is in the square, in the next move, it's not in the square anymore. The only way for it to do that is to go here, but you can't capture your own man. That's treason. So it tries to go around, but now it's definitely not going to be in the square, because the square got smaller. And yeah, this king is not gonna make it on time. And so the pawn says bye. But here's another one where this king is obviously gonna catch up to this pawn. Even though the pawn is super young and super jubilous, it just wants to go all the way to the end. And it could, if it was white's move, then just goes there, and then the square that we have here, yeah, this king cannot get anywhere inside that square. So fortunately, it's actually the black king's turn, or unfortunately for the pawn, because after this, even with its energetic force, the square is just enough for the king, and he can get in. So this pawn is gonna get captured, and we can even see it in action. Run, run, Forrest, run! But then it got captured at the very end. But not all is lost for the pawn. We just saw that if this pawn goes here, well, it's gonna be in the square of this king, so you don't want that. But there's a better way. Instead, you push this guy and throw him in the way of this enemy king. So it's gonna go this way, it's the only chance. And now you just push here. So this is a barrier. The only way for the king to get to this pawn is through here, and that's not gonna work. You can also go that way and that way, but that's gonna take too many steps. It's gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not gonna happen. So because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the pawn only needs 5 moves to promote, so that route is not gonna work. So it has to go this way, but then it goes there, and then the pawn's just gonna promote, because after this there is no way for it to catch up. The train has left the city. And finally we have this, where it starts to get pretty tricky, because if it was black to move, well, black wouldn't go here, because then the pawn just goes that way. So yeah, black has to go this way, and then after the pawn goes here, the black king just captures there and the pawn's gone. But luckily for the pawn, it's white to move, so we have to stop this threat. And one way to do that is to push this pawn here so that the king can't go here anymore, but now these squares are accessible. So then the king would just go there, then the pawn goes there, and then the king just captures on a4. So we gotta stop the king from going to b4. If the pawn goes to b3 if the pawn goes to a3 to prevent b4, then the black king goes to b3 and the pawn tries running away to a4, but then the king captures from b3 to a4. So the only way to stop it is here, and that creates the barrier that we saw. And the only chance is for it to go this way, because going to b3 is illegal. It has to go to b2. So after king goes to b2, the pawn goes to a4, and sayonara, the pawn has left the building. And that's it on square the pawn. It's a simple when you have nothing on the board, and it's usually a simple idea to apply. and we'll have more examples in future videos. So I'll see you in the next one. If you liked it, hit subscribe and feel free to donate if this video helped you out.